So, my friend Laura at Half-Ass Crafter, you guys should check her out. I'll try to remember to link her below. She's been playing around with lots of different things lately, but she did a video the other day, and I just absolutely cackled all the way through it. Loved it, loved it, loved it. I thought it was the most brilliant idea ever, and just had to jump on the train and see if I could do it. And as it turns out, it is a little more challenging than I expected it to be. So, basically, using our little TimHolz people that sit down, she did some little magazine collage, basically, cutting out different chairs and things like that out of magazines, more modern, in color, and placed the little TimHolz people sitting on them, and did a mini collage out of them. Excuse me. And I just thought that was the cutest dang thing ever. And I have a bunch of TimHolz people, as you can see, and I have a bunch of them sitting down, as you can see. And so I thought, let me just try this. Well, so I've been here all morning playing around with it. My initial thought was, I'll pick out a couple of them and then get on camera and work with you guys. I have a whole tray of different chairs and things like that are cut out, fussy cut. That's what I did yesterday. And I have this little bitty notebook that I've had in my stash for a while. And I thought, I could just make a little notebook of these little people, little collages and the TimHolz people sitting down in this little notebook. That would be a good use for this. So that's what I'm going to do. And then I got sitting down this morning. I pulled out all my little TimHolz sitting people and went through my stash of seats that I've cut out, and again, a little more challenging than I expected it to be, but I do have a couple of them picked out. So I have a stash. I was pulling them out to the side. This is not initially how I planned to do it, but I have a stash that I've worked that fit. I figured out the trick. One of the issues with these TimHolz people sitting is they're just not sitting. They've got their hand, you can see, their hand resting on something. And so not only do you have to find the proper thing for them to sit on, you have to find something for them to rest their hand on. Or else they look like they've just got this floating hand floating around in the middle of nowhere. And so, I guess that's okay if that's how you want to do it. But anyways, so, and I ended up with looking at all my sitting down people. I have a lot of sitting down people that have their hands resting on something or their arm resting on something. And so a lot of my little people sitting, I just think this guy's so derpy looking. Anyways, a lot of my people I couldn't use. I guess I could if I found the right thing for them to lean on, but yeah. So it severely limited me, for one, as I pull out all the ones that are leaning on something or resting on something. He was kind of crooked sit. She's leaning on something. So that weeds down a lot. But even still, I managed to find a couple of little TimHolz people and a couple of chairs that I had cut out that work. So we're going to do a little bit of TimHolz people collage on modern day furniture. It's kind of, I did manage to use one guy who has he's resting his elbow. I'll have to figure him out really good to figure out exactly where he goes. And I'm not 100% prepared. Don't have my brush out. So let's see here. I'm going to do these. I'm going to do the backgrounds, the magazine paper, using Mod Podge. That's my go-to collage medium. Goodness, I don't have it. Just, you're going to have to hold, please, while I walk around the other side of my desk to get my glue brush. I've got my doors open. It's almost the middle of February, and the weather is nice out. It's early in the morning, but still. The weather is nice, and it's kind of rainy out, but not really, so you can hear the birds chirping like it's spring or something. It's not spring in Arkansas, but the birds sure are acting like it is. So, got me some glue brushes, and pour me some Mod Podge into the little jar. And so I'm going to scoot these guys out the way. We'll leave them out because we might use them. I've got a couple little dogs up in here too. I'm going to glue off camera. There's my glue page or my glue books over here. I think this little book is a mixed media type paper. Goodness, it's been a little while since I've worked with Mod Podge, so hopefully this cooperates. It's been a little while since I've done just flat out collage. Aside from my paper people, that was another one of those. That was another thing I worked on. I'll be doing some paper people soon. Got me another good stash of bodies and legs and stuff like that. Oh, and weirdest thing, either the paint from my paintbrush or the ink from this is bleeding out. I don't know if you guys can see it, but I'm going to work with it. It's giving it a little bit of a shadow. I don't know if you can see that or not, but anywho, we're working with it. My little TimHolz people, I'm going to glue down with my weld bond because they are a heavier, like a cardstock. So we're going to glue them down with a little bit of cardstock. I mean, a little bit of weld bond. Can't get my words right here. Not a lot, because, you know, doesn't require a lot. Just enough to get us stuck down. Got to line him up to where he's sitting and his elbows resting. And so, like I said, Laura at Half-Ass Crafters did some of these, and oh gosh, they turned out so cute and so fun. And we may come back through and let me see if I got my word snippets handy. I do have some word snippets here, so let's see if we can just make some word snippets while we go. And so the mystery. He looks mysterious. We're going to try to attach that with Mod Podge. I wasn't planning to do little word snippets, but we will. I thought I was doing a good array of different seating choices for these TimHolz people, but again, this is a little more challenging than it looks. While I think this is just quote-unquote funsies and playing around, it is a bit of a challenge. And so if you're looking for a little bit of a challenge collage to play with, might want to give this a try, especially if you have TimHolz people. I have an excess of TimHolz people, and I don't use them very often. And I surely don't use the ones that are sitting down because I'm always like, what are you sitting on, little guy? Tell me what you're sitting on. And today he's sitting in a yellow bedroom. So these are going to kind of look like to you guys, these are quick little collages, but serious, it took me a minute to get through all these because I just didn't think it was going to take that long. And maybe I'm underestimating myself. I kind of did the same thing with the paper people. It was kind of like, I was like, oh, the paper people, which the paper people or paper dolls is another one that Laura at the Half-Assed Crafter kind of got me inspired to do. I was like, oh my gosh, that'd be so easy. That's so cute. That's so fun. Let's jump in to do that. And that was a little bit of a challenge as well. Okay, maybe we can make a story out of this. And sew the mystery to seem totally human. Dun, dun, dun. Ay, ay, ay. I say we can make a story out of it. We might not can. Yeah, I'll be doing some paper people. I've got like the whole weekend with nothing going on. It's Friday morning, early Friday morning. I've got the whole weekend with nothing going on. No journals in play right now. I've got to make a few, I don't want to say corrections, but I've got a lady who wants me to add a few bits to a couple of journals that she's interested in. So I need to work on those. And that's a good one for something. Blah, 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 blah. I can't do two things at once. Anyways, I got to work on that. And I haven't decided if I'm going to start a new journal this weekend. Probably so, because I've got Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I've got 3 days that I've got really nothing going on. I'm going to play around with this little project. And then I'm going to play around with some paper people. And then I'll figure out from there where to go. Yeah. Okay, so we're back to thinking we can make a book out of this. And sew the mystery to seem totally human. An inspired creation. Is a totally human an inspired creation? This may be a randomness of a book, but maybe we can create it to where it reads like a book or a poem of some sort. So this little quote says they would gather on a bench, and I don't think I have any of these babies that are on a bench, technically. I thought she was so cute sitting there. You think we can make it into a story? I'm just adding more to this challenge, I think. Just adding more to the challenge. And so the mystery to seem totally human, an inspired creation. Where are we at? So the mystery to seem totally human, an inspired creation. How about we just work on getting these together, and then we'll make it happen with a storyline of some sort. I got too much in my brain right now to make it all happen at once. This little guy sitting prim and proper here. Moving on. This is kind of a big chair, but I think this derby little guy looks funny there. And again, I'm using Mod Podge to put down the magazine pages, the chairs, basically. And, it's a matte. It's not a gloss Mod Podge, in case you need to know that. And I'm gluing the TimHolz down with Weld Bond. I'm encouraged to kind of explore what silly little thing like this can be done with the stand-up TimHolz. You know, can we have them standing next to I don't know, a Walmart or something like that? I don't know. I think it would just depend on what you have in your stash of stuff. This guy, he's sitting on a Yeti. I just think that's so funny. Because Yetis were not around back then. I don't even know if coolers like this were around back then. I don't even know when back then was. I don't even know the time frame of these guys. But I know it was not. We are not of the same year. I'm try to scoot him up to where I just think that's funny. And we have this little guy sitting on this. Or was he supposed to sit on the Yeti? Maybe he was supposed to sit on the Yeti. Oh well. He's gonna sit on this. let's do this guy at the little vanity. So yeah, I'm kind of inspired to find things now to use with the little TimHolz stand-up people. We have them standing next to something that's modern, you know, in color and modern. Kind of a contrast to the old vintage. Well, guy, sorry I set you in the wrong chair. See, even like this is kind of hard to do because this chair's longer. Yeah. Could set you in there. Or let's do this. What do you think? I guess, yeah, I mean, it's okay. Again, Laura at Half-Ass Crafter did a much better job at this. Hers were hilarious. The sizing was right. They were just so cute. I was like, oh my God, I gotta do that. That's so funny. And then the challenge began to try to actually do it. Again, it's funny when you watch other creators do something that's, they're just simply gluing this down and gluing that down. But it's not always that easy. Okay, let's see if we can make a story now. Set you aside, little guy. And sew the mystery to seem totally human. An inspired creation. Sitting in the middle of the mess. Simply because there was renewed interest. Let's do this. Some of these are not, obviously not going to work. They're about animals and things like that. There's another Inspired Creations. I encourage everyone to, as you're chopping up books and things like that, to be sure and look at the words. I got this idea of just having a box of snippets from Cindy over at Studio Lou. She has a big box of snippets. And I'm also, she has a big box of snippets, and my friend Mary Ellen uses word snippets from a Nancy Drew book. So it's fun to just add a little snippet to your pieces sometimes. And the best place I have found, and I think Cindy would agree, the best place I've found to get word snippets that are big is from children's books. These are big enough where you can read them, you know. This is from a children's book that I chopped up the other day. Okay, that's enough to play around with. And so again, I'm repeating. And so the mystery to seem totally human, an inspired creation. They would gather on a bench, perfectly content. Sitting in the middle of the mess. Nothing to fear after all. How many do I have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, simply because it sounded like a good idea. Okay. How about this? To seem totally human, an inspired hang on. And so the mystery, to seem totally human, an inspired creation. We could put perfectly content here, because he looks perfectly content. I keep having to read it myself. I should just write it down. And so the mystery, to seem totally human, an inspired creation, perfectly content. They would gather on a bench. Let's see here. Oh, this is coming together great, y'all. In a weird sort of storytelling way. And so the mystery, to seem totally human, an inspired creation, perfectly content. For a change of pace, they would gather on a bench, sitting in the middle of the mess, nothing to fear after all, simply because it sounded like a good idea. What do you think? I think it would make a cute little story. And of course, as I continue with this, I will continue to add to the story. Talk about a challenge. So, another challenge is to make a story out of your word snippets. I'm waiting for this guy to dry. He's taking a minute. Okay, I'm running out of... I'm going to have to continue the story because I've got more pages than I do pieces. I guess because I doubled up on some of those. Round and round before the mirror. Yeah, we'll have to, this story is to be continued. The dazed expression on his face. Okay. I think that we did it, per se. Again, I'm to be continued, for sure. Lots of good snippets to work with. Again, you're going to get into we have too many to choose from, and so that's okay. So, we'll use this as a little storybook, a little TimHolz storybook. How's that? And so the mystery, to seem totally human, an inspired creation, perfectly content. For a change of pace, they would gather on a bench. Sorry, she was flipping up there. Uh-oh. Sitting in the middle of the mess, nothing to fear after all, simply because it sounded like a good idea. Round and round before the mirror, with a dazed expression on his face. Don't do what I'm doing, and allow yourself to ample time to dry. I'm not, so it's throwing me off a little bit. I'm gonna put some clips in here to give it some a little bit of air to dry. Oh, come on. What's the deal here? Trying to make something out of nothing is what I'm trying to do. There we go. That's what I'm trying to do. Just give it a little bit of air dry options. Sorry to bump you. Okay, I'm gonna let that dry a minute. So that's what we have. Using our little TimHolz sit-down people and some word snippets and little collage pieces from magazines. Yeah, this kind of took its own little, went its own little way with this little project, and I'm okay with that. You know, that's what happens sometimes. So thanks to Laura at Half-Ass Crafters for getting me started on this little inspiration of these folks sitting in modern chairs. And again, this kind of turned into its own little project of being a story of some sort. Maybe I'll dig through my magazines and see if we can find something to do with the TimHolz people standing up to add to this, because I have plenty of room to play in this book. So anyways, thanks for joining me. Again, thanks to Laura for her inspiration. Go check her out, see what all she's doing. I'll be back soon enough with some paper people. I haven't done them in a little while. So I'll be back to that sometime this weekend as well. And who knows what else I'll get into. Thanks for being here, and we'll see you soon. Bye for now.